ready? Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm going to start from the beginning and kind of brief the whole incident, and then end with we do have a suspect in custody. This morning at 1:29 a.m., Officer Chad Curry responded to the area of Chapel Street in Blatchley for the report of a single-car motor vehicle accident. When Officer Curry arrived, he found the suspect running away from the scene. Officer Curry attempted to stop the suspect when the suspect began firing a gun at Officer Curry's patrol vehicle, striking the front of the vehicle and other areas. Officer Curry exited the vehicle and returned fire and attempted to go after the suspect. Officer Curry was shot by the suspect, who eluded capture. Officer Curry was taken to Yale New Haven Hospital by Sergeant Lou DiCrescenzo, where he was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. He has since been released from the hospital and is recovering. We ask that you give him his privacy. We do have an officer with him at all times for now, but we ask that you give him his privacy. The New Haven Police, along with the state and federal partners, immediately began an investigation and a lockdown of the area. We did a shelter in place for a little while. During the investigation, it was learned that the suspect was in Hartford, where he was taken into custody without incident. He was taken into custody at 34 Putnam Street. The suspect had a previous domestic violence warrant for threatening second, criminal mischief third, and breach of peace second. His new warrant, first, the suspect is Jose Claudio, 5'11", of New Haven. The charges for the warrant are assault in the first degree on a public safety officer, criminal possession of a firearm, carrying a pistol without a permit, unlawful discharge of a firearm, reckless endangerment in the first degree. He's being held on a $1 million bond. We'd like to thank the State's Attorney's Office for quick action with us to get that warrant, get the bond, and get other warrants related to this case to get him safely into custody. We'd like to thank the Hartford Police Department, who was on point and right there with us and helped to make the apprehension. Our federal partners were crucial in this and helped us with a lot of information gathering and technical stuff. And Officer Inspector General was on scene. They will be investigating the Officer Curry's returning fire on the suspect. So there was a lot of different moving parts, and everybody did a good job. I want to name a couple officers that responded to the scene and acted very courageously, besides Officer Curry, who of course did. Officer Moran and Officer Travellino were the first two on scene and rendered aid to him. Officer McCannon, Officer Shealy, and of course Sergeant DiCrescenzo, who transported him to the hospital. This was a multi-agency investigation. The State Police Major Crimes Unit assisted our BFI unit in the collection of evidence, as should have been done through the statute related to officer-involved shootings. I wanted to thank a few of our own people who did a tremendous job organizing this, and besides my assistant chiefs who were right on point, Captain Nick Marcuccio, Captain John Healy, Lieutenant Brian McDermott, Lieutenant Mike Fumiati, and Sergeant Gary Hamill. These gentlemen kept everybody moving in the right direction, kept us rotating officers, who some had to be here for 16 hours guarding crime scenes, and moved the investigation in the correct direction. The suspect is currently being housed in this building. He was brought back to this building, where he will be brought to court on Tuesday. We just left Officer Curry's house. He's doing well. He was up and about talking. We allowed him to watch the body camera, which under the guidelines of the Inspector General, we have a segment of body camera that was released by the Inspector General on a link from them, which you can get from Officer Shumway. We will also be posting that same video on our website. This video release is by order of the Inspector General. So at some point, we would normally release everything. We released what they released because that part of the investigation is theirs. At some point, we will release more video, but the main parts of the video you will see are on those links, and you can get them from Officer Shumway or our social media. I'm going to let the mayor say a few words before we turn over to questions.
Thank you. I wanted to reiterate all the thanks that the chief shared for so many partners that collaborated and responded so quickly. Today was both a terrible day for the New Haven Police Department and a remarkable day for the New Haven Police Department. When the chief reached out to me in the middle of the night and said we had an officer shot, memory came back to other incidents that we've had where we have lost New Haven members of our public safety team. And we saw first, and if you have not seen the video, you will see this as well, an incredibly courageous officer, Officer Curry, who unexpectedly suffered under gunfire and quickly responded with shots towards the perpetrator and put himself at risk significantly to protect the community and himself. We saw it at the hospital. I saw it at the hospital with many officers and the emotion that they felt, because New Haven Police Department is a team and they deeply care about each other. And I was moved by some of the emotion that I saw in many of the officers. And we saw it in how quickly so many officers responded, working through the night and through the day to focus on how we ensure that Officer Curry had the support he needed and we find the suspect. I am always impressed by the New Haven Police Department, but I think today shows just an exemplary department and so many individuals that are a part of our family, and I'm very grateful for the work that you do on behalf of the community. And I've heard from many community members the same thing. So many people are expressing a lot of words of support. We so often talk about officers putting their lives at risk, and I think that often sounds cliche, but something like what happened last night occurs, and it makes us realize just how important the officers are to the safety of our community.
Yeah, just real briefly too, the crime scene is still being held by the Connecticut State Police and us. That's the Blatchley Chapel area. If people could be patient with us just a little bit longer, probably another hour or two, correct, Cap? And then that will all be opened up. And we'd like to thank the Connecticut State Police. And again, the State's Attorney's Office, Jack Doyle himself was out here, Inspector Al Vasquez was out here, Inspector Mike Mastropetri is out here, and all night with us, all morning and night. So that being said, I'll open up to questions.
Chief, can you talk about when it is that Officer Curry was actually hit?
So it appears when he's shot at inside the cruiser, he's hit at some point then, and then possibly outside of the cruiser. We don't know for sure. They still have to have an interview with Officer Curry, and but it looks like he was definitely hit inside the cruiser and outside the cruiser.
And can you talk at all about how you found out he was in Hartford? Was it a public tip? Was it family?
So we got a lot of help from the community. We got people into help us and help make identifications and pointing us in the right direction. So we appreciate that. There was some family connections. It was a lot of good police work, right? We were able to find a woman that was out on the street by doing follow-up on this person's name and finding other people, and then just a lot of interviews, a lot of face-to-face knocking on doors, like good old-fashioned detective work. So there's not one key thing that did that, but a combination of talking to all these people led us in those directions.
Did you have to coax him out of the building in Hartford?
Yeah, so I'm being told, I wasn't up there, but that our SWAT team and the Hartford SWAT team secured the area and called him out, and he eventually came out.
Chief, can you confirm how many times was Officer Curry hit?
He was shot twice.
Twice. And was anyone else hit by gunfire that night because of this exchange?
No,
So the suspect was not hit?
No.
No one.
Did any stray bullets go into any of those apartments at all, or any cars?
there was a vehicle hit and there was a side wall to an apartment hit.
What was the concern, that a bullet could strike a community member in one of those buildings?
Of course, there's a concern, but, when you see the video, you'll see that this suspect immediately started firing unprovoked on Officer Curry, and he had no choice but to defend himself and fire back. It's truly, and I have a hard time talking about it, it's a proud moment that officer acted with courage and immediately acted in the way he needed to act.
So he heard the crash and then went to,
Yeah, he dispatched. He heard the crash, went towards the crash, called it in. The footage is a little cut from the IG's office, but when we release all the footage, you'll see like every step of this investigation that he partakes in is done by the book. He calls it in, he says the guy's running, he tries to catch up to the guy in his vehicle. And then when he's shot at, he immediately calls that out, and the other officers arrive to help him within seconds.
Chief, you said Officer Curry spent his career of the 9 years in Fairhaven. Is he familiar with Mr. Claudia?
I haven't got to that point with Officer Curry yet, but yeah, he's a well-known officer in Fairhaven. He grew up in New Haven. He still lives in New Haven. If you remember recently, we had a story on him for de-escalation. He helped save a man's life. Great officer. He also has a sister on the job, and he also has a cousin on the job.
Can you tell us a
Someone
bit?
actually witness or identify him from seeing him on the street, and that kind of led you in the direction, or?
I don't want to get into those specifics yet because it is still an active investigation, but we did get significant help from the community.
And did he get help going to Hartford too, escaping?
We don't know about that yet. If there is people that we can charge for aiding and abetting him, we will.
Can you tell us about your conversation with Officer Curry today? So he's been discharged from the hospital. How is he doing? What we talked about? How's he doing mentally, emotionally?
He's doing good. We allowed him to watch, we wanted him to watch the video before we released it. And that's tough, so we kind of had to relive that. But he's a strong kid. He made jokes. He's happy that everybody else is safe. He thanked his fellow workers. You know, it was a really good interaction.
Can you tell us about some conversations you've had with other officers in the department today, or just what you're thinking about today as you reflect on what happened?
So the chiefs and I and the command staff went down to lineup. We will be at lineups tonight. We will have EAP assistance and peer support who responded to the hospital. Thank you to those officers who responded to the hospital. Jim Riscati responded to the hospital. So we're going to continue to care for our officers' mental health and keep going to lineups and talking to them and giving them opportunities to talk to us. We thank Yale PD. They sent their comfort dog, excuse me. So that was nice. And everybody's reached out from around the state. Chief Thody reached out and I said, well, yeah, I do need some help. We're coming that way. So it worked really well. And I thank all our partners throughout the state.
Was Officer Curry alone in his vehicle at the time? And so were there only 2 people involved in this? There's only 1 officer? And
Yes, only 2 people exchanged gunfire.
And it was a residence in Hartford, is that what Putnam Street?
Yeah, it was at 34 Putnam Street.
And no one there is under?
No, nobody was hurt or nobody else is under arrest at this time, but we're investigating that. There's still some stuff being done up there as well.
How old is Jose and what town was he from?
He's from New Haven. He was born 5/11/86. I believe that's 36. Thank you.
What charges does he face?
Assault in the first degree, assault in a public safety officer, criminal possession of a firearm, carrying a pistol without a permit, unlawful discharge of a firearm, reckless endangerment in the first degree. Those charges, sorry.
And can you explain again, why is he being held here till Tuesday?
Because it's our warrant. It's our warrant. So he couldn't be held in Hartford. We would have went and got him anyway. So, well, we did. We went and got him and brought him back.
Thank you.
That it? Thank you.